WURD Radio On Demand.
Wake up with WURD.
Hosted by Solomon Jones.
Weekdays, 7 a.m. till 10 a.m. Exclusively on WURD Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Want to go to our first guest. Her name is Ming Yeh, is Executive Director of the Pennsylvania Institutional Law Project, where she represents prisoners and other institutionalized individuals on their civil rights claims. She joins us to talk about what prisoners are facing during COVID. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
How do you want me to address you?
Su Ming is my first name, so that's fine.
Su Ming. Okay, thank you very much. So tell us what prisoners are going through during this COVID outbreak.
Sure. Initially, so we are a legal aid agency, and what we do, we're the Pennsylvania Institutional Law Project. We provide legal advice and advocacy and litigation on behalf of people. So we've been hearing from people all across the state of Pennsylvania, from people who are incarcerated, about what they've been experiencing. In the beginning, people were very isolated. They were cut off from families, and they had no access to just basic items: soap, cleaning supplies, masks, testing if they had symptoms. Even regular medical care was being denied or delayed. Other issues like being able to get your regular medical diet, being able to access your religion, were also all issues. These continue to be challenges. What has happened since then is prisons have been then either, on one side, not enforcing social distancing, but in other ways have been enforcing very severe lockdowns. People are in their cells 23 plus hours a day in a cell the size of a small bathroom. That's something we've been working on. And in addition to that, people are getting COVID. The rates have been increasing. In prison, the rate of infection for COVID-19 is about 5.5 times of that in the community.
So let me ask you this question in terms of how they're getting it, because they're inside prison. They're on lockdown. So is it the employees bringing it in? Is it the guards bringing it in? Like, how are they getting COVID if they haven't been out in the world where COVID is rampant? That's right.
I mean, our belief is that staff in prison and movement inside and outside the prison is what's bringing it in. Mm-hmm. A lot of people think, folks listening today might be fully aware that there's actually a lot of fluidity in and out of the prison, but not everyone knows that. So every day, people are coming in and out, and that can be either prison staff, employees, or medical staff who are coming in and out. And also, of course, there are new admissions of people who are being incarcerated newly. Mm-hmm. However, for the most part, I would say one development has been prisons implementing some sort of quarantine period where mm-hmm. people are in quarantine for roughly 14 days, and they're tested in the beginning and end of that time period.
Okay. So how long has that been in place, and how has it affected the spread of COVID inside the prisons?
So that will vary. Pennsylvania has a system of every county jail operates their own county jail. The state system has their own. Federal prisons have their own system. So when prisons started implementing quarantine might vary according to the jail. Initially for the State Department of Corrections, their numbers stayed steady, but in the fall and winter, there was a huge winter and fall surge, and that has been a problem. We are now up to 96 deaths in the State Department of Corrections.
And so what can be done about it? What is the Institutional Law Project trying to do in order to mitigate what's happening with COVID in the prisons?
The first thing is we are monitoring and listening to people who have contacted us. Oftentimes, because of the nature of prisons cutting people off, now there is video visitation, but especially in the beginning, people had very little contact with the outside world. So we have been collecting information. When we receive issues that are concerning, we have been advocating on behalf of people, whether that is through communications, letters, advocacy letters. And we also now have filed, since April of last year, 2 class action lawsuits contesting how 2 prison systems have been handling COVID-19.
And so is there any negotiation around those lawsuits? Are they looking to settle them by fixing some of the issues? Is that what you're hoping for?
Yes. So in the case against the Philadelphia Department of Prisons, there was a court order, a consent order on partial settlement back on June 3rd of 2020, and that did provide the right to have people have access to soap, cleaning supplies, daily showers, and at that time, 45 minutes out of cell, which we thought was a good first step, but I will say is still 23 hours and 15 minutes inside your cell. Since then, there have been developments where the court has ordered universal testing of all incarcerated people and all staff. This was back in December. And they have then since ordered that prisoners, people who are incarcerated, must have 2 hours out of their cell by actually this Wednesday, February 10th, and 3 hours out of their cell by February 24th. The court has been tracking all the different COVID mitigation efforts by the prison.
And so that's the Philadelphia prison. What about the state prisons?
So we do not have a class action against the state prisons, but we have been in communications with them. So we did have a meeting back in December with the Chief Counsel's office regarding our many concerns. And we understand this is tough for prisons to implement. There are a lot of issues. We all know that it's a difficult task, but they really have to maintain both safety and health for the people who are incarcerated, as well as maintain humane conditions. So we talked about the importance of staff all wearing masks, making sure that people have out-of-cell time, have access to ongoing regular medical care. Medical care is something where, you can delay an appointment maybe a week or so, but now we're, 10, 11 months in, you can't delay regular ongoing medical care for that long. So we discussed a variety of issues trying to ensure that people who are incarcerated are treated humanely and have access to all the necessary services.
We're talking with Ming Yeh. She is the executive director of the Pennsylvania Institutional Law Project about what's going on with prisoners in Pennsylvania and COVID. So we talked about the infection rate. I think you said it was over 5 times the infection rate outside of prisons. What about the death rate? Are people dying from COVID inside of these prisons?
Yes, unfortunately, people are dying. As I had mentioned, the Pennsylvania Department of Corrections currently has approximately 13,000 confirmed cases, but that's both incarcerated people and prison staff. So roughly 9,400 incarcerated people have been infected with COVID-19. As of today, at least when I checked this morning, there were 96 deaths across Pennsylvania. I will note that many of those came, there was a huge spike, as I mentioned, in the fall and winter when a lot of those deaths came about, which is very tragic.
Now, what about the vaccine? I mean, is there any kind of strategy to get the vaccine inside these prisons?
We are hoping so. So that is an issue that we're discussing in our lawsuits, and specifically the Philadelphia Department of Prisons. And I'll note the other lawsuit is against Allegheny County on the other side of the state. And we have been in communications with the Department of Corrections about vaccinations. We are hopeful this can make a difference for people, not only for our community, but especially for people who are incarcerated and the people who work in those facilities. It's vitally important that incarcerated people are vaccinated at the same time as prison staff, because it's one system. It's important to protect, everyone who's in there equally. So that's what we've been advocating for.
How do people learn more about the Institutional Law Project?
They can go to our website, www.pailp.org, and we also have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, so we'd love it if people could follow us and learn more about these issues.
All right. Ming Yeh, the executive director of the Pennsylvania Institutional Law Project, I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning on WURD.
Thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome.
If I could just mention, we also have a film on our website. We'd love for people to watch it.
What's the name of it?
It's called Living in Prison with COVID-19.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll make sure we let people know about that. You just did. So we'll put it on our website and on our Facebook page as well. Thank you so much.
You've been listening to WURD Radio On Demand. Listen live to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live at wordradio.com.